course, it is time now for, as usual, to start off with the Varsity Cup. Don't forget the Varsity Shield forms part of the Varsity Cup. Let's take a look before we start off with some of the results from the Varsity Shield. As you can see there, TUT was up against UWC on Monday night. 18 points to 8 win for TUT over UWC. Of course, UW's playing away, and Fort Hare up against KZN. Fort Hare with a home way loss there, 20 points to 18. Let's start with you, Mr. H. We were talking about this home and away thing again. Here's a bit of a, well, as not really expected, but I mean a tough one for UWC away against TUT. And again, the away game factor plays a big role.
Yeah, but I think we must overcome that. You know, it was like in the early stages of Super 50. South African teams couldn't travel, and they sort of, you know, we all accepted that when they go overseas, they're going to lose their games, until their mindset changed and they started winning their games overseas. Now, the UWC and the others, they must fall in line with that kind of thinking, you know, and say, but we need to win 1 or 2 of those away games. You can't just accept that you're going to lose the games.
Labib, let's go to you. I mean, you've done quite a lot of traveling with teams. You know what the environment is like, and we've discussed this with you know, the likes of UWC. The importance of creating the same kind of environment at home and then traveling with that environment, so you take the field away. How do the players do it?
It comes down to, I think, to the planning as well. From a management perspective, you need to decide how your players respond to traveling. Some teams prefer to travel closer to the game, others earlier. So the management need to see how the teams deal with those issues. One issue that sometimes happens when players travel is that if you spend too much time at the hotel, they get bored. Morgan can bear me out with that.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean for Morgan. Like, what does he do? What do they do in tour when they get bored?
Like the coaches and the management, they need to make sure obviously that the captains run. There's actually players have activities to do. Make sure that eating times is proper so that they can get the peak at the right time of the day. Yeah. Obviously, with different teams, they have different budgets even, you know, in terms of when they travel, etc. So all you need to do is to get the proper balance and know what works for your team and create the environment so that your place is in a proper space.
You talk about the environment like that. Morgs, I mean, I've been involved with the Stormers for a long time in Western Province Rugby, and I think even when you were playing for Stormers Western Province, some of the things that the guys were doing is that they would make, for example, they would set the changing room up in the same way at home, and that they would be away then, and the team manager would do little tricks to make sure that the players have that same feeling.
Yeah, look, James, it's very difficult to simulate exactly what happens at home, purely because the guys are sleeping in their own beds at night and all these kinds of things. But I mean, with regard to the Western Province and the Stormers, they definitely do try and simulate as much as close to as possible what happens back home. So the changing room will be the same way. I mean, the players will, you know, the non-playing squad will go down to the team and will put every little player that he wants, if he's got his recovery drink for after the game, and if he's got his half-time shake that he wants to take at half-time, each player will have those powders in their bottles ready for them next to their boots, so that when they arrive at the changing room, it's sort of, you know, as closely simulated as what they get at Newlands.
Does that then help you, like, get your mental picture right, Labib?
Yeah. Obviously, it's called 1%, man. So if I'm used to drinking the shake, like Morgan said, if I'm used to listening to a certain song, if I'm used to having a pre-match video, those are all the 1% which hopefully adds up and makes you operate at optimal level.
Yeah, Morgs.
Yeah, James. The other important thing is the meals that the guys eat, because you know when you're staying in hotels, you're eating from buffet meals, and you're not used to sort of having 3 different options for breakfast and all these different kinds of things. So when I was involved with Steph Toy at the Stormers, is what he's trying to do is he's really trying to go and say, right, what do individual players like? Some guys like cereals, other guys like egg and bacon. You know, other guys like nothing for breakfast. You know, that's just how they do it. So you'll find that when the higher up you go, each player will have his designated meal that he'll have for that breakfast and for that lunch. And I think that's just, you know, a big important factor as to your performance on the field, because as we all know, nutrition is sort of 85% of the battle won.
Well, folks, one team that also managed to lose away from home was Fort Hare, losing to KZN 18 points to 20. Once again, the travel factor does prove to be a tough factor. Let's take a look now at some of the logs. We'll take a look at some of the logs on the Shield there. CUT is still on 17 points. KZN on 12. They've played 5 matches. They've won 3. UWC is in 3rd place. They're still in the running on 11 points. Fort Hare on 11. And TUT is on 7 points. TUT really seem to be struggling there with a big points difference of 65. Time for us to quickly look at some of the highlights from the match between Tuks and Marties. We've got some footage for you once again. Let's check it out. There you go, Varsity Cup. Of course, Tuks against Marty, some fantastic footage there. Looks like they put in some great hits there. Let's take a look now at the results from the Varsity Cup on Monday night. There you see Wits are up against UJ, and it was a big win for Wits, 63 points to 24. Marty's managed to scrape away in the dying seconds, 18 points to 16. Shimla's went down to NMMU. This after Shimla's fielding some strong teams in the last couple of weeks. 10-14 loss there for Shimla's. And Pika beating Ike's 29 points to 26. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the match between Pika and Ike's. Fantastic footage there. Right, of course, just for folks, it was UJ with a victory over Wits, 63 points to 24. Labib, big win there for UJ over Wits. Would you have expected such a big numbers?
Obviously, UJ, the team that's on form at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they've proved it in the whole competition, going close against Marties and obviously winning the other game. So that result was expected, possibly not the score, but after watching the game, Wits never gave up for 1 minute. They actually played all the time. They had also more opportunities. I think, obviously from UJ's side, they've got some experienced players, an experienced coach in Hugo van As. Their captain, Justin Wheeler, is the most capped Varsity Cup player ever. He's played Super Rugby as well. So they never had things their own way all the time. They had to work for their points. They actually had to work to prevent Wits from scoring points. And Wits was chasing that bonus point try. They only managed to score 3 tries. So the game was exciting from the first minute till the last. The ref, Rasta Rashivanga, I think the game went into like 82 minutes. Yeah. I mean, I think he even forgot that the hooter went off because it was such an exciting game.
But I mean, a good result then for UJ, an away win.
Very, very good result.
Because they're second on the log at the moment, chasing Marties.
Yeah, both teams are in Joburg, so...
I suppose for them it's not such a big... It's not like flying.
There's no travelling involved. You're probably driving to the field.
Good point. Absolutely a good point, yeah. Marties, it was very close for them. Mr. H, you watched the game. Marties, I mean, it went down to the dying seconds. I don't know, Marties just doesn't seem to be coming away with those big victories. It's either a question of Marties not so strong this year, or the other teams are getting much better. Yeah,
and for the second week in a row they had to play with 14 men at one stage. They'll have to watch their discipline. The yellow card that they got also led to a penalty try.
Right.
So, one needs to look at those things. But again, the Marties, it's the first time since 2008 that they win there. So it was a fantastic victory for them, and you could see afterwards, they were overjoyed.
Yeah.
But I think maybe they also, didn't think that they will win that one.
And of course, for them it was an away win. I mean, they did have to do a bit of travelling.
Yeah, and again, Reniel Hugo, he played number 8 instead of his normal lock position. He was absolutely fantastic. The opponents, they like to drive from, lineouts close to the scrum.
Yeah.
He stole the ball on 2 occasions right on his own try line, which was fantastic, and they couldn't do the things that they wanted to do. So yeah, he's somebody that they must look at.
Morgs, I saw you last night tweeting about Reniel Hugo saying something about his composure on the field. Maybe you want to fill us in.
Yeah, look, it's not something I'd repeat on TV, but it's a little saying that the guys had last year, that everyone must just chill out, that they've got this. It was a saying that Stellenbosch had, and Reniel was the one that came up with it. So I think he's clearly using it at the moment in the Varsity Cup.
Labib, how important is it for a captain at that time of the game to calm the team down when it's in the dying minutes?
Very important. Using Reniel Hugo as an example, he's obviously played this. It was actually Province versus Bulls. Okay, so he's played those players, and I watched the one lineup which he stole from the line, and I heard the call. I won't even go into detail of it, and I knew Reniel was going to take it, because the last time we spoke last year, he said he's got the lineouts figured out.
Yeah.
And he proved once again that he's a quality player. And just the one thing I want to mention is, the Varsity Cup rules, the penalties is worth 2 points, which promotes people rather to go for touch, which is what Tux did. And it's on 2 occasions, Tux was leading. I mean, the score was still 16-all, and they had opportunity to go to the last 20 minutes, and they opted for touch. If they had taken those 2 penalties, the score could have been 20-18. So the actual decision didn't go their way this time. Tux.
Another player though that has got provincial experience in the family. I think his father played. Neil Hugo played for Western Province.
Neil Hugo played Springboks as well in the 80s.
Yeah, Mr. H, you know about that. I think he played in your day.
And he was a gentleman. He's a real gentleman on the field.
Yes.
On the field. So yeah, the genes is right.
So not quite in the Bucky's water mold of things.
No.
All right, so a good win there for Marties. That does keep them on top of the log there. Shimlers, of course, we said they lost against NMMU. Ikeys, of course, didn't go well for them. What is going on with Ikeys, Labib? It just doesn't seem to be happening for them. I know they've had quite a few injuries.
Looking at the score, it was a very close game. Obviously, it wasn't a televised game, but the score's telling me that they're not giving up. Okay, they're losing, but they're not giving up, which is going to make quite an exciting game next week when they play Marties. I've spoke to some of the players. They're saying the vibe is cool, the coaching is cool. They feel them at certain point in the game they're not making the proper decision. So I think when they're going to click, they're going to surprise a few people along the way.
Just a matter of it coming together.
Matter of it, them clicking and coming together.
Morgs, your feeling?
Yeah, look, it's going to be a tough one again for them against Stellenbosch this coming Monday. But in general, I think, it's that one win that will change your whole season,
Yeah.
You go 1 or 2 losses on the road, and automatically those close games start going against you. And then you win 1 or 2 games, and all of a sudden the wins start coming your way. So it's a quality Ike side they've got there, and Stellenbosch are not going to go down to the Green Mile and get it easy. So I see Ike is really upsetting a few teams, and look, they can still sneak in the back door, maybe make the top 4 and make it to the playoffs. Still
a couple of games left there. Let's quickly take a look at the logs now in the Varsity Cup. And there you see Marties are on, they're still in first place. They've managed to pull away. As much as we think that it's been tough for Marties, the logs are showing the details. Marties has played 4 and they've won 4. And they've got 18 points for their efforts. UJ's in second place on 15 points, Pucker on 14, Tux on 11, NMMU, the Madibs on 11, Shimlers on 7, Ikeys are down there in 7th place in 5th points, or at least on 5 points, and Wits are in last position on 1. So a little bit of work to do then, folks, for the teams in the Varsity Cup. I'm sure things are going to change for some of those teams. Let's look at the fixtures now coming up starting on Monday. It's KZN up against TUT. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff on Monday the 4th of March. and UWC, home game against CUT. Right, so very important there, folks. UWC, this coming Monday, the 4th, UWC against CUT. It's going to be a cracker of a match. You want to make sure that you get down there. You know what the entertainment factor is like at UWC. I think it costs almost nothing to get in the gate. You're going to get exceptional value in the stands. UWC really does turn on the entertainment. It is the one night of rugby that you should be out there watching Varsity Shield rugby that rocks on a Monday night, this coming Monday at UWC. And if you're not at one of those games, you can always get down to one of the MAGIX games or one of the Ikes games or when they're playing at home. But this coming Monday, we want to see you at UWC when they take on CUT. It's going to be a cracker of a match, and it's certainly one of those teams, local teams, that you want to make sure that you support as much as possible. Let's take a look at the fixtures now in the Varsity Cup section. It's Ikes up against Marties, home game for them at 4:45. Tuks take on Wits in Pretoria at 7. The Madibs against UJ at 7 in Port Elizabeth, and it's Shimlers up against Picker in Bloemfontein at 7. So those are your Varsity Cup fixtures, your Shield fixtures. We will see you for the Varsity Shield on Monday at UWC. Going to be cracker, going to be exciting, and we'll try on the following Tuesday, or at least we'll try to check that the guys are all back and ready on the Tuesday so that we can get someone like Charlton van Jaarsveld or Freddie Miller back on the show next week, Wednesday, to find out how their match went.